Hello, I'm Rebecca. Welcome to Is This the Norm? Please be sure to like us and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, Pandora, and anywhere else you see us. And thank you so much in advance.
All right, and I'm Heather. So, yes, smash that button, please.
And I'm Laura. So today in light of the Artemis missions that are currently happening right now as we speak, so exciting, we are going to be talking about our moon. But before I delve into the current events that are happening with the Artemis program, I want to travel back in time and recognize the astronauts from our past. Because without their advancement and courage, we would not be where we are today in our discoveries of the moon and space. So let's go all the way back to the Apollo missions. The Apollo program was initiated by President John F. Kennedy in 1961, with the goal being to land humans on the moon and return them safely home before 1970. This turned into a space race between the United States and the Soviet Union. JFK wanted to show the world superiority over the Soviet Union during a time period where there was a lot of tension between the US and the Soviet Union. There was tension through the Berlin Wall, nuclear weapons production, and the Bay of Pigs. After the failed attempt to overthrow Fidel Castro in the Bay of Pigs, who Fidel Castro is the leader of Cuba, after that failed conflict, the Soviet Union used Cuba to place nuclear weapons, and this created more tension between the US and the Soviet Union. So the space race gave Americans hope during the Cold War with the Soviet Union, proving we were more capable than they were in advancement of technology. The Soviet Union actually landed the first probe on the moon in 1966, but it was the US who landed the first humans on the moon through the Apollo 11 mission in 1969. As most listeners probably already know, JFK unfortunately was assassinated in 1967, and he did not get to see the fulfillment of the Apollo missions. RIP JFK, we love you. There were a total of 15 Apollo missions. Initially, the first 4 missions were named AS 201, 202, 203, and 204. The first 3 were uncrewed missions, and AS 204 was preparing astronauts to go into Earth orbit. Sadly, the AS 204 mission never made it past the pre-launch test. There was a flash fire inside the command module where astronauts Virgil, quote unquote, Gus Grissom, Edward H. White II, and Roger B. Chaffee lost their lives. After this occurred, in honor of the astronauts, NASA renamed the mission to Apollo 1. And instead of renaming the other unmanned missions prior to Apollo 1, they just skipped Apollo 2 and Apollo 3 and started the next mission with Apollo 4. Apollo missions 4, 5, and 6 were unmanned, and Apollo 7 through 10 were crewed missions. Apollo 7 orbited Earth, Apollo 8 orbited the moon, Apollo 9 tested the command center and lunar lander in Earth orbit, and Apollo 10 was a dress rehearsal for landing in which they took the lunar module to orbit the moon. Then we had Apollo 11, where humans landed on the moon. Yay! For the Apollo 11 mission, the name of the rocket, so I'm going to kind of for me, when I was researching this, I didn't really understand how it all kind of works. So I kind of want to break it down to make it more understandable. So Apollo is
Can I interrupt you?
the missions. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, before you move on, because I'm very interested in this part. But I think you said earlier, a skipping Apollo 2 and 3.
Yes.
And that was in honor of the fallen astronauts. Is that, I'm understanding that right?
No. So originally they didn't name them, Apollo 1 through 17. They were naming them AS 102 or 201, 202. So the mission that is currently called Apollo 1, that the astronauts unfortunately lost their lives, was Apollo AS 204. So it was kind of in the middle of the sequence. but then they decided they wanted to give it a name to honor the astronauts that were on that particular mission. So that's when they named it Apollo 1. So instead of, because there was 3 missions prior, instead of renaming those prior missions Apollo 2 and Apollo 3, they just skipped naming Apollo 2 and 3 and just named the next mission after Apollo 1 to be Apollo 4. Does that make sense?
I think I'm tracking. I think
It's a
it
little
is
confusing, yes, because of the events that occurred. I think they would have continued to name them the AS 201, 202, 203, 204, continued. But since astronauts lost their life, they were like, we're going to start it here in honor of them. So it was more like to honor the astronauts. And then things kind of got jumbled up. The order did. So they just skipped naming 2 and 3 and just went straight to 4.
Got it. Yeah, that's usually how the government does it.
Yeah. So now we're to Apollo 11. Apollo 11. So yeah, the missions. So there's 17 Apollo missions. The missions are the action of doing these missions are called Apollo. And the rocket that carried the command center and the Eagle was named the Saturn IV. The Eagle is the name of the lunar lander. So that's the module that goes down to the moon. And the Columbia was the name of the command center, which is what continues to orbit the moon. And, it's the command center, like the brain of the operation. And the
that famous saying, the eagle has landed.
Exactly. Yeah. Because it did. It landed on Earth's surface or the moon's surface. Sorry. So the command center is, for the Apollo missions, the name is the Columbia. So when we're referring to it, we're going to talk about the Columbia and the Eagle, which are the command center and the lunar module. So they're kind of used interchangeably. Okay. So the Saturn rocket takes off from Florida and it brings them to Earth's orbit. Then the command module, the Columbia, hooks onto the Eagle and disconnects itself and the Eagle from the rocket. And then it reignites, sending the ship into heliocentric orbit towards the moon, or the ship, meaning the Columbia, which just means flying through space towards the moon. It's like this heliocentric orbit is kind of confusing and a lot of scientific space words that I didn't feel like really delving into, but it just basically means that they're flying through space towards the moon. The 3 astronauts that were on that rocket was the commander, who's like the lead astronaut, the guy in charge, Neil Armstrong, the lunar module pilot, so the Eagle was Buzz Aldrin, and the command module pilot was Michael Collins, who was in the Columbia. Neil and Buzz landed on the moon in the Eagle, and Michael Collins stayed in the Columbia orbiting the moon. So there was about 30 orbits around the moon for the whole mission, and half of those orbits around the moon, Michael Collins was by himself because Neil and Buzz were on the moon. The Saturn V rocket launched from Kennedy Space Center in Florida on July 16th, 1969. And on July 20th, 1969, Neil and Buzz landed in the Sea of Tranquility on our moon's surface. This is not an ocean. It is a basin of solidified basaltic lava. And then they returned to Earth on the Columbia July 24th, 1969. So it takes 4 days to get to the moon and 4 days to get back. So they had a very short visit on the moon. The Eagle lunar lander had 2 sets of engines and 2 fuel systems, one for descent or coming down to the moon, and one for ascent, leaving the moon. When they got close to the moon, Buzz realized that Buzz, who's the pilot of the Eagle lunar lander, he realized the original landing spot was taking him to an area full of boulders, and he needed to take manual control to quickly find a flat spot. Since there's no atmosphere, they have to use rocket power.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That would be so, that
Terrifying.
sounds so scary to me. Like I'm in the middle of, okay, I'm off Earth, one. Two, now the surface I'm landing on, I have to manually do this. I'm assuming he had to do some like crazy math. I mean, these guys, this is like outside of anything. This is a nightmare to me. But, anyways, go on. I'm just like, this is becoming scary all of a sudden. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
warning.
Yeah. And right. Yeah, truly, Heather, because although I'm sure they probably did some practice stuff prior to going, remember, we're in a space race against the Soviet Union, who has like just pounded us time after time. We need this win. We need to get on the moon. We need to stay this big, powerful US of A, right? This is the mentality of the time. And this is all on Buzz's shoulders. And he's seeing these big boulders and he's like, oh no, I see the moon's surface. We're going, right? So, yes, he takes manual control and he's trying to find a flat spot. And there's no atmosphere, right? So they have to use rocket power to descend. Like he's not going to come down on his own. So he's finally able, luckily, as we know, find a flat surface. And
Isn't there like a recording of this? Like where it almost looks like he's 4-by, or am I just like making that up?
that's a later mission. This is not
Okay.
the Apollo mission. But
Got
yes,
it.
that is a true memory in your mind. Yes. So he finds a flat spot and lands the lunar lander, the Eagle. And I don't know at what point
Hey, you have to say the saying.
the Eagle has landed.
Thank you.
Okay. Do you feel better? Maybe I should have
I
let you.
do.
Maybe I should have let you say it. Do you want to try? You try. You say it.
The legal. Oh my God, I messed it up.
Legal eagle. That's like,
A legal eagle.
that's Heather.
There was your chance. You ruined it.
I know. I was so excited. See, that's what happens when I'm put on the spot. I have to do like
good thing.
improv.
Good thing you weren't trying to land it. Could you imagine the pressure Buzz felt?
Me with my Bloom drink in one hand and vodka in another. Let's do this. That's you don't want me as an astronaut.
Joy. Okay,
Let
take a
alone
deep
your
breath and do it
designated
again.
driver.
You got this.
Okay. The Eagle has landed.
Oh gosh, that feels good, doesn't it? Okay. So I don't know when they discovered this, but at some point, NASA did their research and found that in the end, Buzz had 25 to 45 seconds left of propellant in the descent tank.
Okay, my palms are literally sweaty. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about space that really gets me like this, that in the ocean.
Me too. It freaks me out. When I was reading this, my hands were sweaty too. I mean, they would have made it back because they have a whole ascent engine and propellant, but he had to land. Like the whole world was watching him. Apparently about 350 billion people were watching this happen, and all eyes were on him across the world,
Oh my gosh.
So
much
they were 25 to 45 seconds away from having to abort the entire mission. Luckily, he lands. I already said that. So they were actually only on the surface of the moon for 21 hours and 36 minutes. That
is a long time. I thought you were going to say like 21 minutes.
Same.
It took them. Oh, sorry. Yeah. No. I suppose I just worked it up too much. Bummer. But it takes 4 days to get there in flying in outer space, and they were only
What's
there
so
for 21
scary
hours.
for me is like it's like getting in a plane. Like I have a little bit of flight anxiety,
Mhm.
but like I think the thing that would probably like you'd have to drug me for one to even do any of this type of stuff. It just wouldn't work out. But the like anxiety of like I can't turn around. Like I'm stuck on this mission and it's a high possibility I may never come home.
Mm.
Like that's crazy. Like you're committed. It's not like you sign up for it and you're like, oh, I'm not going to finish this. It's kind of
let's
like
just turn around.
triathlon. You could really quit if you wanted to in the middle.
Yeah. Someone come get you.
I haven't done that. Thankfully, I've always finished. But
Not to toot your own horn, but toot toot. I always finish.
I always finish. Anyways, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I just like the idea of being in space is, I don't know if anybody else has this weird like fear of that. Like
I
even
do.
if I could, I wouldn't do it.
Same. Never. I like it here. It's safe here. I think a lot of it is just fear of the unknown.
Well, that's why they picked, like, in the beginning for the astronauts, they were test pilots because they're already crazy guys, like willing to test like new planes out and stuff.
Yes.
So they were like, yeah, brave or crazy and
Hmm.
maybe a little bit of both,
Yeah, and I had done research long ago because I read a book about this. Actually, I think I read a book about John F. Kennedy, and of course, this was in there. I looked up each one of these men, Buzz, Neil, and Michael, and I can't remember who, but I know that one of them was just like an Air Force pilot. So he just had a lot of experience flying planes. I mean, what else? What else would you have to compare? I mean, they're pilots, right? And I shouldn't say just an Air Force pilot. My goodness, Air Force pilots are highly intelligent, very brave, meticulous people. So I retract saying that, but yeah, pretty pretty wild. Okay, so let's get back. Where was I? The Eagle landed, and yeah, while the Eagle was on the surface of the moon, the Columbia continued to orbit the moon. So he stayed in moon's orbit, operating the Columbia.
Okay, that
So
might be
then,
worse. At least you're landed on the moon, but
yeah,
now you're in this thing just floating around,
yeah.
hoping that the moon keeps you where you need to be, I guess, some
Yeah,
kind of
well,
gravity.
it gets worse because Michael Collins, once he crossed over to the dark side of the moon, lost contact with Houston every time he went to the dark side. It
And
wasn't
who is
until,
Houston? I think all of us know like
oh,
who Houston is, but
yeah, in Texas, that's where like the command center is for NASA is in Houston. So, and every time he was on the dark side of the moon, he was there for about 48 minutes. So he's orbiting in outer space by himself with no other human contact for 48 minutes. So, like I said earlier, they orbited about 30 times around the moon, the command center did, and half the time he was by himself. So it was about 14 to 15 orbits. He was alone with zero human contact. Like,
so
let's
did he
talk
like
about
just
who's
come out
brave in this
screaming?
mission. It's Michael Collins. Like,
Yeah.
he is the bravest of the brave in this mission, in my personal opinion. No, thank you.
Yeah, no. I would
And I
just be
don't believe
screaming
they
for
knew that
48
was,
minutes. Like, oh, am I going to make it
yeah,
this time? I guess after a while he's probably like, I'm good. I'm good. I don't, is it always like, maybe, I don't know if you know this, but was it always the same, I guess, track or orbit track? Like when he went around it, you said how many times? 48 times?
30.
30 times.
And he lost contact
Track
for
for 48.
48 minutes
Got it.
each time he was on the dark side. It took 48 minutes to get back to the light side of the moon.
Got it. So when he went around this thing 30 times, I'm assuming it's the same route. Like it doesn't get off at all. I mean, I don't know. I'm just curious. Like, do you stay in the same place? Do you get farther? Do you get closer to the moon, or because of whatever gravity's
I
there, it
don't know the
keeps you in
answer to
place?
that. I don't know the answer to that, but I would imagine that yes, it's the same.
Yeah, they're using the moon's gravitational pull to orbit, so
Yeah.
it's probably gonna be negligibly different each time. Perhaps would be
Assuming
my guess.
they probably did the math ahead of time. However they do
I'm
that,
sure
but
they did. They did a
I'm
lot
all
of
thinking math just because of stinking Apollo 13. It seemed like that was the whole movie was them doing math, which
because
is
that's what the space program was back then is a
just
lot
math.
of math.
Which is understandable. I mean, that I think that's the biggest horror movie I've ever watched was Apollo 13.
Right. So I just looked it up. Says yes, when in lunar orbit, a spacecraft stays on a specific predetermined track or orbital path relative to the moon's surface. And Houston did know that he would lose contact once on the dark side. So he went into it knowing this was going to happen.
Okay, I mean that kind of helps. That's better because if like
Yeah.
you didn't know and they're like, "Oh, wait." I mean, no, okay,
Yeah.
this
The
is
first
another
time, well, the
question.
first time he went to the dark side, Buzz and Neil were with him. I think they did a few orbits prior to like descending down.
Oh, got it. That
And
makes
then
sense.
he orbited by himself, and then he came back and got him, and then they orbited a couple times. I wonder if they had to like pick up speed and then
So he
go to
picked
Earth.
him up at some point again off
Yeah.
the
So
moon like a
yeah,
taxi? What the hell?
yeah. So
That's
he's orbiting
crazy.
because he's in the command center, like the brain of the whole operation.
I mean,
And
maybe Buzz and Neil were really annoying, and he needed a break from them.
Yep,
You
true.
just never know.
Yeah, he's like, "You, Buzz, We get it. You have a cool
Maybe
name.
he was
You got to be
happy.
on the moon.
Yeah, maybe he
whatever.
was happy for the alone time. He was like, you know what, this is really nice because those guys just wouldn't shut up.
Especially if you have gas. I could see that.
Oh yeah, maybe one of them was really stinky.
You never know.
Astronaut ice cream. Like,
I was going
who
to say,
knows?
who knows what they were eating?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it was Tang. I know Tang was originally
Yep.
made for NASA, wasn't
Oh
it?
yeah, that's probably gonna make some stinky farts. I would assume.
that's not
Never
good
had
for you.
Tang, but
Or as Rebecca thinks, makes you go to the bathroom because it has high vitamin
oh yeah,
C.
vitamin C. Yep,
Here
they
we
were
go.
probably
They
going
was
poo all the
gassy.
time.
Full circle. Every episode, vitamin C, pooping. I don't know. I'm just
so
like,
once-
I'm astounded by this. I obviously have not learned anything. I went to a high school that
Yeah.
obviously didn't teach me good
Or
about.
were you not listening?
Probably
I'm
not
sure.
listening.
Could have been.
You're
Could have
right.
been one of those
I
things.
shouldn't
So,
blame my teachers. Take some
So-
accountability.
yeah, Michael Collins was orbiting, and then he came back to pick them up, and then they used their second engine and fuel to ascend to the Columbia. They reconnected the Columbia, and once everything and everybody were transferred to the Columbia, they jettisoned or abandoned the Eagle, and then the Columbia took them back home. So, like when I say everything and everyone, they had like collected samples from the moon, and they transferred that and put that into the Columbia, and then they just kicked the Eagle out of here. So they don't know if the Eagle
Well,
to
that
this
was
day.
not very nice. Just
Well, it's just heavyweight. Okay, so then they get done. They're in the command center, and they head back home. And the Columbia lands in the North Pacific Ocean, about 825 nautical miles southwest of Hawaii, on January 24th, 1969. And they were recovered by the USS Hornet, which I don't know. I think it's
right. Did they
kinda
get to
cool
go to
how they do
Hawaii
that.
and have
This
like a
big naval
vacation
ship
a little
comes
bit?
up and
I
picks
think
them
you
up.
should just improv that.
I sure hope
they
so.
They
I
went
didn't
and
look
had
that
a
up,
Mai Tai on the
but
beach.
they
and were
deserved
like,
it.
Look at that moon. We were just there. Now we're in Hawaii, living it up.
Yeah. Well, I think don't they have to
Decontamination or something?
Well, I don't know. They were only in space for 8 days. Well, yeah, sometimes when people are on the space station for a long time, doesn't their muscles
Yeah,
deteriorate
but they were only a
for
few
little while
days,
if they're
right?
there too long? And
Yeah, it has to be.
I don't know
like
if they have to do
months. I don't know at what
Right,
juncture.
that's what I was like,
But I
probably
think it's more
nothing.
than a few days. I'd imagine.
Oh no, they still have them exercising every day, even
course,
if
yeah,
it's only
yeah.
a few days. There's like a protocol that they're doing every day.
Okay. Okay, so then we have Apollo 12, which is the next mission in the Apollo missions. The commander for the Apollo 12 was Charles Pete Conrad, so he went by Pete. The lunar module pilot was Alan L. Bean, and the command module pilot was Richard F. Gordon Jr. for this mission. They landed on the moon in the Ocean of Storms on November 19th, 1969. So this was very quickly after the Apollo 11 mission. NASA's goal with the Apollo 12 mission was to demonstrate pinpoint landing, which they accomplished when astronauts Pete Conrad and Ellen Bean landed within 535 feet of the robotic Surveyor 3 probe. So a server that was sent in 1967 was sent to the moon. So a year after Russia sent their probe, we sent the Surveyor 3 probe. And they wanted to gather parts of the probe and bring it back for analysis so they could get data on how the lunar atmosphere would affect man-made materials. During this mission, they did 2 moonwalks, collected a bunch of samples, and did scientific experiments. Fun fact, the spacecraft was struck by lightning twice during launch.
Wow.
But the crew
More
That's
nightmares.
continued
More
the
nightmares of things that
mission
can happen
to
to
the
you
moon.
if you go to space. Oh my gosh. Now you said Ellen. Was that a woman? Oh, Alan. Okay.
No, Alan, A-L-A-N.
We gotta wait till the 80s
Yes.
for
That's what
for
I
women.
thought.
So of the Apollo,
We were
It's a while.
still too delicate then to do
Right.
anything.
yeah. So of the Apollo missions, there were 6 times total that humans landed on the moon, which include Apollo 11, Apollo 12, Apollo 14, 15, 16, and 17. Apollo 13 never made it to the moon, but
And that
luckily
horror
the
movie is
astronauts
called
aboard made it
Apollo
home
13.
safely.
It was with
When was that made?
Tom Hanks. I think it was like early 2000s. I don't know, Rebecca. Yeah,
I was gonna say, I remember being like a
90s, early 2000s.
teenager.
I know you were still pretty young. I bet Rebecca's clicking. We just can't hear.
1995.
Hey, there you go.
1985. Okay. Thank you for looking that up. So the Apollo 13 mission had Commander James A. Lovell Jr., the lunar module pilot Fred W. Hayes Jr., and command module pilot John, aka Jack,
AKA Kevin Bacon.
Swigert Jr.
In the Apollo 13 movie. Yeah.
Oh, he was, okay, it was Kevin Bacon.
I like him too.
He's a good actor. It was halfway to the moon. When an oxygen tank in the service module exploded, which forced the astronauts to abort the moon landing mission. The service module was their main source of electrical power, water, and oxygen, and also had the main propulsion engine for the command module. So this was a huge loss for them. The oxygen tank exploded. Then they shut down the command module Odyssey to conserve energy and moved into the lunar module Aquarius as the quote-unquote lifeboat. It was designed for 2 people for 2 days, and all 3 of them were in it for 4 days total. They had to continue toward the moon and loop around it to gain speed, using their lunar module's engine to steer it back. The computer systems for navigation were damaged, so the crew had to use the sun and the stars to find their way home. These men
that's so
are
crazy to
amazing.
me. Like, I feel like the movie was
So the
pretty,
computers-
like, spot on, I think. I mean, I'm sure there was some drama, but I don't think Hollywood needed to add drama to that. I mean, it's in its own, like, you just talking about it, like,
Right?
okay, 1, I was like, how nerve-wracking. 2, oh my gosh, it was only for 2 people. 3, I bet it got really stinky in there.
Mhm.
Oh, so
And
beautiful,
also
I
the
bet.
stars from where they're at,
Oh, yeah.
but also like in the wrong
Right.
spots, right? They're not looking at them from Earth.
I
They're
didn't even
looking
think
at
about
them
that.
from
So you have
halfway
to, like,
between the moon and
totally
Earth. So like,
recalibrate your brain. No, thank you. Nope, I'm not smart enough for that. I just cry.
yeah,
That's what I would do.
yeah.
Eat all the snacks. Eat
Yeah.
all the snacks. Cry.
Houston,
hope for the best.
please save us.
Heather would just be in the corner eating some astronaut ice
Fart a
cream
little.
and drinking some Tang.
Eating her Doritos.
Hey,
and
I
drinking
wouldn't
her
be
bloomed
constipated. Okay. I could tell you that.
Right.
It would be free flowing.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, so they're using the sun and the stars to find their way home. Of course, they have to ration food, as Heather already knows because she watched the movie. They had to ration food and water and worked with mission control to build an adapter for the command center to use the CO2 scrubbers to help manage their air toxicity. Yeah, mission control is telling them what's on their lunar module and helping them concoct an adapter so that they can get rid of some of the CO2 and continue to survive on this
So in other words, they had to
module
hold
that
in
they
their
were only supposed
farts.
to spend 2 days
That
in.
sucks.
So amazing.
But I'm
Well,
still,
our
it's
farts
still
CO2, aren't they,
toxin.
like methane?
All I can think
I think
about
they
is
still.
farts.
I don't know.
I think it's because I'm so gassy
I think
all
we're
the time.
thinking
that
too
I'm
far
like,
into this.
4 days with 2 other people.
It's just-
Hold
don't
it
tell 'em our
in. Oh my
secret.
God, this sounds terrible. Okay.
Okay, so although the service module was ruined, they did not jettison it until just prior to re-entry into Earth's atmosphere because it served as a heat shield for the command center. So it's just only for that reason that they kept it. Then shortly after they jettisoned off the service module, they separated from the lunar module, which burned up in Earth's atmosphere. Then the Odyssey Command Center splashed down into the South Pacific Ocean about 4 miles from the USS Iwo Jima recovery ship. All right, so now we're on to Apollo 14. Apollo 14 had Commander Alan Shepard, command module pilot Stuart Rusa, and lunar module pilot Edgar Mitchell aboard, and was a successful mission, bringing back 95 pounds of samples and many scientific experiments, and of course the famous photo of Alan Shepard hitting golf balls on the moon. He hit 2 golf balls that are still on the surface of the moon today. Do you
I
guys remember that
vaguely,
picture or
but
recall seeing
can
that
you
picture?
see those like through a telescope? And you know why I'm asking this, right?
Yeah, I think you can. I looked up
So,
Google Photos where they're showing where
so
the
for all
golf
those
balls are. So I think you
conspiracy
can get
theorists, like we
satellite
didn't go to
photos
the
of
moon,
them.
how do you explain the golf balls on the moon? Anyway, just had to say that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't know. I'm sure they have some kind of crazy reason or whatever. I believe we landed on the moon.
Ditto.
Okay, so now we're on to Apollo 15, which had Commander David Scott, Lunar Module Pilot James Irwin, and Command Module Pilot Alfred Worden as the crew. This mission was the first to have an LRV, or Lunar Roving Vehicle. So this is your memory,
Like
Heather.
it's going like
The little dune buggy on the
okay,
moon.
that's
This
what I'm
is
thinking.
the
Like it looks like they're
Lunar
four by
Roving
and it
Vehicle.
yeah. People are like I think it's in like MTV's
Yep,
video or something.
that's
Remember
the
their advertisement? I think that's what I'm thinking of. And it still like
probably
gave me
this
fear
is where we got
then.
all
I was
our
like, why
information.
would they put this on here? Anyways, yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah. So this vehicle actually allowed them to explore further, obviously, and carry tools with them, which tripled the amount of work they could get done in a mission. They all made a safe return home from Apollo 15. They were picked up by helicopters and brought to the USS Okinawa. Then we had Apollo 16, which had Commander John Young, Lunar Module pilot Charles Duke, and Ken Mattingly. Oh my gosh, Mattingly in the command module. Casper was the name of the command module. They also used the and had a successful mission running experiments, collecting samples. This was the first long mission. They left Earth on April 16th, 1972, and returned back April 27th, 1972. Then they landed in the Pacific Ocean and were picked up by the USS Ticonderoga. I like that word. Then the last of the Apollo missions was Apollo 17. It had Commander Eugene Cernan, lunar module pilot Harrison Schmitt, who was the first and only geologist to walk on the moon. So, how excited was he, right?
Yeah,
That's
I
the
never
biggest
thought of
rock
it
we
that
know.
way. That is
And
true.
command module
Like he
pilot
gets to brag to
Ronald
all his
Evans.
geologist friends, like, I got to go on this rock.
Yeah.
What have you got to do?
Yeah. That was the
Right.
the the
100%.
all-time leave a right rock.
Yeah.
Leave it right there. We're not taking it. That's my nerdy
Dun-dun-dun.
geology joke.
Just
Okay, it was a successful mission too. Thank you. I appreciate that. So Apollo 17 was successful. They did a lot of experiments, collected data. It was the last mission of the Apollo missions, as I said. The crew members were also picked up by helicopters and taken to the
so that's a
USS
ship, right?
Ticonderoga.
Just want to make sure.
Carnan was the
That's kind of
last.
cool. Like I hear like dun dun
Yeah, so
dun
it's a naval ship.
dun dun. You know that.
Yeah,
Well, I
yeah.
meant like the helicopter.
So they're
Like
always
that's
picked up
kind of
by a
cool.
naval ship.
Yeah.
Oh
That
yeah,
can't
yeah,
that
yeah.
can't get better than that.
Helicopters and then
That's
brought to the
Hollywood
naval
right
ship.
there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, a wonderful welcome home. So yeah, Carnan was the last human to step off the moon in 1972. But all that may change with the recent Artemis program, which we'll get into next. Okay. With that said, we're going to take a break here and we'll come back next week to talk about the recent Artemis program. So look for that next week, and thank you so much for
Bye.
joining us.
Bye.
We'll see you then. Bye.